Welcome back to the John Fourcade Show. One of our John Fourcade specials this week, a 2017 Ford Expedition Limited, $11,000 off total savings. Again, on a 2017 Ford Expedition Limited, $11,000 off total savings. And you won't find a better deal than right here on a Ford Expedition at Veterans Ford. We're back here on the John Fourcade Show, and John, LSU took care of business against Louisville in the Citrus Bowl. Great defensive call and preparation by Dave Aranda. You're talking about 3 field goals is all they gave up in this, and the Heisman Trophy winner, he was more than humbled. And Louisville's offensive line was horrendous that day. LSU beat the stew out of them. And Malachi Dupree, if it's his last game, he certainly made a statement out of it. And Danny Etling, for the most part, didn't lose the game for him.
Right.
He threw one bad pass, but he made some plays. But again, LSU's defense was just absolutely swarming on Lamar Jackson from the start to the finish.
Well, that's what people were talking about, saying, you know, this guy won the Heisman Trophy, but he didn't play against the SEC-style defenses to find out if he's a Heisman Trophy person. You know, that's the thing about Heisman Trophy winners and stuff like that. You had made a comment prior to this game that he'll be jet-setting, going all over the place, doing all this stuff. His mind won't be into it. I don't care if he stayed home after he won the Heisman. The way LSU's defense showed up and played this football game, all they had to do was score a touchdown and a field goal. They'd have won this football game 10-9. I mean, they won it 29-9, but you look at the way the defense of LSU showed up, it's like it showed up against Alabama. It's like it showed up against Florida. I mean, when they want to play and they can play, we all know what their defense has done all year long, and go against a Louisville team, and they wanted to show people we're going to shut down a Heisman Trophy winner. And Malachi Dupree got off. Like you said, he might have moved his way up, and he also announced he's coming out. The offense for LSU didn't really dominate and do a lot of different things, but you know, the running game's there, the little nickel and dime passing game was there. They did what they had to do to win this football game, Mike, but look, my hat goes off. The defense won the game for them.
Dave Aranda, unbelievably, and 16 touchdowns he's given up in 12 games. We're talking about major college football here.
This guy needs to be a head coach somewhere, someplace, somehow.
I get the feeling from talking to him and people around him, his goal is not to be a college head coach.
Yeah.
I think he is taking a look maybe somewhere down the line to go to the NFL. And he's a real sharp guy. I know Babe told me this. Mike, I don't know when he sleeps. When I get here at 5:30 in the morning, he's here. When I leave at 11 o'clock at night, he's still here. So, I mean, you're talking about they put in a lot of hours, and you can tell by the way they played. 8 quarterback sacks on Lamar Jackson, but I think where LSU won it in the trenches.
Oh, they know
that defensive line just kicked the stew out of Louisville.
Well, we all say that. LSU, in the SEC, you have NFL caliber players throughout the line and the linebackers, whereas you play in some of these other conferences, you might have 2 or 3 players. Louisville hasn't seen that style of play or that, you know, the speed.
Ain't seen nobody that fast coming off that line, that big, that fast. And in the Sugar Bowl, what a great performance by Baker Mayfield. Again, take nothing away because Auburn's defense is legit. They are really good. Now, offensively, they'll stinko in a lot of ways, but Baker Mayfield, John, just his ability to kind of step up, step around the pocket, but he never loses control of himself as a passer. That's what impresses me so much with him. He plays within the system, but if he's got to move left and right, he makes the throw, and he's accurate. Doesn't matter if he's in the pocket or outside the pocket.
There's no doubt about it, watching him play in this football game, offensive-wise for Oklahoma, and having those 2 running backs didn't hurt. Pretty good offensive line for Oklahoma, going against a really good SEC defense. But what wore down Auburn's defense was their offense, because their defense had to play the whole game on the field majority of the time. But Mayfield, he just did some things, throwing the football, moving around. But when he moved around, he did the proper thing. I'm moving around to try to find my open receivers, and that's where he hurt him right there, by moving the football, with him moving it right, left, whatever he had to do. He wasn't looking to run. He was looking to move around to get guys open, and he done so much better than I expected him, because I thought Auburn's defense would shine in this football game. And I really thought Oklahoma would win the game, but the way Auburn's defense played all year long, I figured, okay, they'll keep me in the game. Mike, where's Auburn's offense? Gus Malzahn's supposed to be this genius. The flea flickers and all this stuff. Look, they have no quarterback. That stuff they run offensively, that's playground football. It's a joke.
I agree with you. One thing with Baker had told me, he said, you know, it started right here in Louisiana for me. Manning Passing Academy. I came here, got to work with Archie and Eli and Peyton, and it ends right here in Louisiana with a great Sugar Bowl.
And he's coming back.
And he's
next
coming
year.
back
That's
for
good.
another
Good
season.
for him.
Now, he's not ideal height, but again, I kind of throw that out because we've seen guys that have excelled and are not the 6'4" guy.
Right.
He can make plays in the pocket, and that's what's impressive about that. Then certainly we got to see in the a team that'll play again for the national championship, Alabama, having a tough time offensively until late, but their defense was awesome against Washington, who, John, I give Washington's defense a lot of credit. They hung in there for 3 quarters, but you can't stay on the field forever. Your offense has to score some points. And when they had some opportunities, man, everybody talks about how good of a pro prospect Browning is. I don't know what they're looking at. That guy, he didn't play very well at all.
No, and another guy didn't play very well at all. Number 2, the quarterback for Alabama. I never thought he was all that. Everybody praised him. It was a freshman start from Alabama. It ain't because of him where Alabama's back where they're at. It's because Nick Saban, that defense, a good offensive line, a running game. They don't throw the ball very well, and that's the scenario problem. That's the problem you have right now going into the championship game is they've already made a change, and it ain't a player change. It's a coaching change. Lane Kiffin is out. No more offensive coordinator, and Steve Sarkisian is in there. But I think they'll be just fine. I have no problem with that. But that defense for Alabama, they score again, Mike, and that's the thing about it. That defense is scoring in almost every game.
I wrote a column about this, and I think I hit the nail on the head. That defense reminds me of the '85 Bears defense. In essence, what the Bears offense wasn't great that year, but they just tsunamied you every time they played. And Ohio State didn't come to play because, man, Clemson, man, they took a belt out and absolutely spanked the Ohio State Buckeyes. And this is the guy that Nick Saban didn't want to see in the final game of the year, a guy who gave him fits just a year ago, almost the exact same time, quarterback Deshaun Watson. Clemson was rolling in this game. They made a couple mistakes early on, and Malik Hooker, man, listen, that guy can play. He came out early. I think he's a top 10 pick. But Ohio State's offense was putrid the entire game, and Clemson got rolling. Then it was water over the bridge.
Well, the big receivers they got, especially
Mike Williams.
Williams coming back playing this season, which he didn't play last year in the championship game. I look at it this way. Alabama's going to have their hands full with this team right here. This is not the same Clemson from last year, other than some players, the same guys back. But the only good thing I'm going to say here about Nick Saban and his defense is this. Now you're giving Nick Saban another year to prepare against Watson. Last season they didn't, but they had a week to prepare. Now he's got all the film and all these games this season, the bowl game that he played against Ohio State. Don't underestimate Nick. Won't have something ready for him, a spy or something of that nature. But they do scare me, Clemson, because they can score and move the football offensively, and they got a pretty good defense, Mike.
One of the things, too, is Dabo put in that little read option for Watson to fake it offhand, and then he takes off to the left. We hadn't seen that all year long. They ran the read option, but if they ran it toward the right side, and Watson didn't run to the left. And you saw Ohio State almost like their feet were stuck in cement. Was like, what's going on here? Just a little bit of a wrinkle, and I think that's going to be interesting. Dabo Swinney, one more shot at the man himself, and if Nick wins it, he'll tie Bear Bryant for the most national championships of all time. And I got to say it, he's the greatest coach I know in my lifetime coaching college football is Nick Saban. We'll be back with more of the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford.